W5FC. W5FC repeater PL110.9.
Does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin the 9 p.m. Skynet? We've still got a couple of minutes to go. This is in 5BB.
I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Bravo, Bravo. My name is Bill. I'll be your net control for this session of the Dallas Amateur Radio Club, Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. Net is open for all amateurs interested in this topic. We encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the pro sign, break, and your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic right now? This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control in 5BB. And stations are reminded to identify at the end of each transmission. This weekly net operates on 146.88 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using a W5FC -R, station identification, or Echolink node 37247. I am watching Echolink, so if you need to say something to the net and you can't get on, you can't break in, or you have no microphone, feel free to put a big statement over there where I can see it on the text on Echolink, and I'll be glad to recognize you. Tonight's topics: astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-visual links are available online. Go to www.w5fc.org right now for the complete list. Remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. The net is 90 minutes long, structured in several parts. General announcements. Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events, such as when and where you can look through a telescope. The National Space Society events and news. Discussion topic of the evening, selected by the net control. This evening, the discussion topic is going to be the Parker Space Probe and historical ideas about the nature of our sun. Next will be space exploration and space history. Then, What's Up by Chaz. Ms. Carolyn's Constellation of the Week. Space launches of the week. Recent astronomical discoveries. And visible satellite passages over the next couple of days. Then we have astronomical questions and answers if we have time, followed by the 73 round. All amateurs licensed to transmit on this frequency are invited to check in. Now let's start. This is N5BB and Skynet. Round 1, low power, short time check-ins. Do we have any short time check-ins? Please come now with your call sign, name, and where you are. Over. Do we have any short-time check-ins? Must have scared them all away. Let's try it for general RF check-ins. We'll go to Echolink later. So right now, general RF check-ins for Skynet. This is N5BB. Over. Go ahead.
This is KF5JHA. I'm not short time, but I'm very distracted with a football game going on. Golf Romeo Hotel, Melissa in Dallas.
Mike in Richardson.
Kilo Echo 5, India Charlie X-Ray, Tom, Louisville.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima, Brenda and DeSoto.
Oh, Foxtrot 5, Zulu Bravo Lima, Bill French.
Let's pause there. I have KF5JHA, Chaz, KI5GRH, hello Melissa, KG5P, hello Mike. I was listening to you when you were talking to K2BSA today. I was in the background. KE5ICX, hello Tom. He was also at the K2BSA location. WB5OZL, hello Brenda. KF5ZBL, hello Bill. Do we have any other RF check-ins for Skynet? Please come now. This is N5BB.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony and Dallas.
Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James and Carrollton.
November 5, Whiskey Tango Alpha, Jonathan and Irving.
Jonathan, let me make sure I get your call right. Is it November 5 WTA?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I couldn't remember if you were a K or a W. Okay, I have N5WTA, Jonathan, KG5WVL, James, NT5TM, Tony. Do we have any other RS check-ins for Skynet? If so, please come now. This is N5BB. I'm going to look over at Echolink. Before I go and start reading the stations off, does anyone on Echolink want to come in on voice? If so, please come now.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey J, near Weatherford.
Kilo 5, Juliet Delta Whiskey, John in Norman, Oklahoma.
Kilo India 5, Bravo November Papa, Luis in Fort Worth.
This is November 5, Yankee Echo Oscar. Steve, San Antonio, being distracted by original episode of Star Trek.
Okay, it looks like everyone came in that was on Echolink. So I acknowledge N5YEO, Stephen, KG5BZW, Jay, K5JDW, John, KI5BNP, Luis. And they're saying something like, not sure about this 7 times 3 equal 21. Hey, Mr. Billy, I'm not sure if they're talking about me or somebody else. Anyway, do we have any, looks like Philip in Crandall, K5KOB is on Facebook. Tom, does that mean he's checking into Skynet? Says yes. So we'll also check in K5KOB, Philip. So do we have anybody else, any mode that would like to check into Skynet? Please come. KG5JPN, Mark. I have you now. Do we have anyone else that would like to check in to Skynet via any mode? This is N5BB. Please come now. Oh, there was a weak signal, or there was somebody on Echolink that brought the thing up. I'm not sure what that was. I'm going to give it one more try. With that last station, please try again. We heard no audio that time. So try again. Check your audio. This is N5BB and Skynet. Go ahead. heard. There'll be times later than that where other people can check in. So let's get going. So first, do we have any general announcements about amateur astronomical space or things that are general interest to hams? So these are amateur radio, astronomical space, or just general interest things that would interest the people in our group. If you have any such items, please come now with your call sign. Over.
Number Tango 5, Tango Mike.
NT 5 PM. Go ahead, Tony.
Thank you, Bill. I'd just like to remind everyone to have a look at the TechNet News Post and find the link to sign up for the Dallas Marathon, which is a week from tomorrow. If you haven't already done so, but you'd like to participate, the clock is ticking very fast, so please make sure to sign up if you are interested and you have not done so already. Additionally, please remember that this is not the last net of the night. We do have an afterglow movie discussion coming up tonight, right here at 10:30, discussing an exciting Roger Corman movie from the 50s, I believe, called something like Satellite War, which may be very exciting and involve satellites and war or Roger Corman. Anyway, hope to see you at the marathon and hear you on the net. NT5TM.
Does anyone have any questions about Tony's items? If so, please come now. We have a couple of other quick items. The National Space Society, I'm going to throw in little National Space Society things out of order here. National Space Society normally has their meeting on the second Sunday of each month. But in December, we usually have a Christmas party that's private for members only. So there will not be a public National Space Society of North Texas meeting in December, because our private party will be tomorrow. There is an MSET net on the Arlington 147.14 repeater, which meets Wednesdays at 9 p.m. That's the MSET net. All are invited to attend or listen. The Irving Amateur Radio Club has a net mainly for members, but others are invited, on the second Thursday of every month. It will be on the 146.72 megahertz local repeater in Irving on Thursday, December the 12th at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. on Thursday, December the 12th, Irving net. Other things coming up, the DARC will have its, I believe, final meeting on the air for 2019 on Sunday, the 15th of December at 7 p.m. on this repeater. And the Irving Amateur Radio Club will have a party on Thursday, December the 19th at 7 p.m. at Spring Creek Barbecue in Irving. That's all the news I know, except one more thing. I believe we will have a Geek Net on Monday, December the 23rd, and a surprise net, since we have another Monday, on Monday, December the 30th. So be prepared for the end of the year Geek Net and Surprise Net. Tony, am I correct? Are we having those two nets during the holiday festivities? Go ahead.
Have to be net control for surprise net. Anyone can come up with a good surprise and email nets at w5sc.org, nets at w5sc.org. But yeah, we'll certainly try to put something together. I'll collaborate with Tom and Bill, and we'll see what we can do. NT5TM.
Tony. I'm sure if anyone has a good idea for one of our surprise nets, please contact Tony, NT5TM, and I'm sure he would be very happy to hear any suggestions. I'm putting words in Tony's mouth, but I think it's what he would be saying. Okay, now let me get back to my script. And are there any other announcements or questions about these announcements before we continue? Go ahead.
Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, about Texas Astronomical Society.
Yes, Chaz, go right ahead.
Good evening, Nat. I'm sort of distracted because I'm watching a football game from my alma mater, the Ohio State University. Go Buckeyes. You know, a Buckeye is a nut, and, well, that explains a lot about me, doesn't it? Anyway, the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas has meetings on the fourth Friday of each month. They have that at the University of Texas at Dallas, right on Campbell Road, in the Science Learning Center, the lecture hall on the first floor. Happens at 7:30. Now, there's usually some activity happening at 7 o'clock, like a overview of what's going on at the dark side up in Oklahoma, or a new members orientation. So come early, find out some information at 7 o'clock, and the meeting starts at 7:30. There's always a featured topic of some sort, either from a guest lecturer from outside of the club or somebody inside the club. And the next 3 out of the 4 meetings in the first part of the year actually has guest lecturers from outside the club, and they're going to be very interesting ones. Can't remember them off the top of my head, but you can get that information from the website, texasastro.org. That's the Texas Astronomical website. So, again, there is not a December meeting because there is a holiday party instead, and that's not even happening on the fourth Friday. So anyway, but the next meeting of the Texas Astronomical Society will be on January the 24th. Now, the Texas Astronomical Society also has observing sessions that are set up on every Saturday, on the first, second, third, fourth Saturdays of each month in different locations. Now, the Stargazer Star Party that usually happens on the first Saturday of the month, that would be tonight, is not happening in December and January because it's under consideration for moving its location to Richardson instead. So while that process is happening, they've sort of canceled the first Saturday of each month observing session. But the second Saturday of each month is the Frisco Starfest, held at Frisco Commons Park in Frisco. The third Saturday of each month is the Cedar Hill Starbolt. That's at J.W. Williams Park in Cedar Hill. And the fourth Saturday of each month is the Stars on the Shores Park in Rockwall. So, does anybody need any fills or have any questions about Texas Astronomical Society meetings or observing sessions? Come now with your call sign. I think that's it. Back to you, Bill. This is KF5JHA.
Thanks, Chaz. I've got a few other comments about nets. I think most people are familiar with them. So I'm going to quickly go through this. And if you have any questions, let us know, and we'll give you details. There is an AMSAT radio amateur satellite Echolink group. You can find the net under groups in AMSAT with asterisk around the AMSAT. I mentioned the Arlington AMSAT net. The DARC has nets every Monday of the week. I mentioned some of the future ones. We also have ham fixing nets on the first Monday. MCOM, that's Emergency Communications, on the second week. Another ham fixing net about food on the third week. And I've already mentioned the Geek Net Surprise Net coming up later in the month. On Saturdays, we have TechNet from 7 to 8 p.m. And, of course, Skynet at 9 p.m. We have on this repeater the ARL Traffic Net, 6:30 p.m., nearly every evening. And then at 10:30 p.m., that same traffic net is on the Irving 146.72 repeater. So that's all we have about news. Does anyone have any questions about any of these news items? If so, please come now. This is Skynet at 5BB Net Control. Okay, now we have information about tonight's Afterglow movie. Mr. General, would you like to do the honors?
Oh, I'll be happy to do so. This is KE5ICX. Here you go. Tonight's Afterglow movie info. The alien intergalactic space cruiser placed the wheel lock on Earth's Sigma Project's latest manned space satellite. It was getting annoying, and Mr. Hotchkiss made a rousing speech demanding the masters of the Spiral Nebula Ghana stop booting all the world's spacecraft. In defiance of the UN launches another Sigma rocket ship, this one with a sign on board saying, "Danger. Direct contact with this spacecraft may cause male pattern Danger. Direct contact with this spacecraft may cause male pattern baldness." This was a brilliant plan, but the UN Assembly wasn't even sure that aliens had heads, let alone hair that they might lose. But it was a shot they had to take. And make, for that matter. The Afterglow movie, 4 of the satellites from 1958. Tonight at 10:30 p.m. in color. Back to you, Bill. KE5I6.
It was a Roger Corman movie, black and white. I thought very interesting. That's all I'm going to say now. Other than there's some special effects in it. And the obligatory one woman on the spacecraft among all the other men. It's always that way. You can keep up with any Dallas Amateur Radio Club events, nets, and activities by going to the club website, w5fc.org. Now, quick check. Do we have any additional check-ins? I see KF5THB, Brent from Texas. Brent, where in Texas are you?
This is HB, and here in Henrietta via Echolink. Thanks for picking back to net.
You said you're in Henrietta?
Affirmative. Henrietta. Back to net.
Hey, Brent, you're having some difficulties. I believe you said you're from Henrietta. Okay, very good. You originally said Texas, but now it says Henrietta. Okay. Do we have any other check-ins of any type for Skynet? Please come now. This is Net Control in 5BB.
Kilo 5, Alpha, November, Papa, Allen in Dallas.
I have K5ANP. Welcome, Alan. Last call for now. Any other check-ins? No. So next we have the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas. Chaz, you already gave some information earlier. Do you have any other information you'd like to give about the TAS tonight? If so, please go ahead. Go ahead, Chaz. This is N5BB.
So, no, I think I covered it all. Thanks a lot. KF5JHA.
So just double checking. I already gave some information earlier about National Space Society. If anyone does have any questions about National Space Society of North Texas, our Texas chapter does meet in Irving every month except for December on the second Sunday. If you have any questions, please contact me because I'm the membership director. My email is n5bb@arrl.net. That's November 5 Bravo Bravo @arrl.net for National Space Society of North Texas questions. Next, we have the discussion topic of the evening, which is going to be by me because I'm net control. And we're going to discuss the Parker Solar Probe, which is the hot news item I saw. So, the Parker Solar Probe was built to help solve the long-term inability for astronomy to explain the bright solar photosphere and recent discoveries which are leading to a better understanding of the complex physics going on in the outer atmosphere of stars. So the difficulty was the outer corona areas of the sun are very hot. And it's been kind of difficult to explain the solar wind and exactly how energy gets from the center of the sun out into the away from the sun. And there's been a lot of things that have been just very confusing about the outer area of the sun. So the Parker Solar Probe was sent to help figure this out. So there were some previous planned probes which ended up being canceled, and then they merged those into designs for the Parker Solar Probe. The Parker Solar Probe was launched 16 months ago. It has a highly elliptical orbit, which takes it very near the sun at perihelion. It's the first spacecraft to venture into the lower corona of the sun. Main goals of the mission are, first, to trace the flow of energy that heats the solar corona and accelerates the solar wind. Also, to determine the structure and dynamics of the magnetic fields at the sources of the solar wind, and then to determine what mechanisms accelerate and transport energetic particles emanating from the sun. So part of this is about, a lot of it's about the solar wind, magnetic fields near the sun, energy transfer in the outer layers of the sun's atmosphere. So before we go into the details about what the Parker Solar Probe has, the science that's come out of it recently, earlier, in fact, this week, let's talk about real quickly how we've gotten here. The famous astronomer William Herschel discovered Uranus. However, a few years later, he published a book about the nature of the sun and stars, and he thought that the sun was pretty much kind of cold, like the Earth, moderate temperature, but it had an atmospheric layer which did not allow us to look at the surface. And this atmospheric layer, maybe clouds or whatever, was rather thick, and it was very, very, very bright and hot, which is why we got all this light coming from the sun. He didn't have a clue about why that atmospheric layer was hot and producing so much light, but he figured it must be there. And there was, he and other astronomers of the time argued that sunspots, which were well known, were either, number one, holes in the clouds that allowed you to see the dark surface below, or, number two, high mountains whose peaks went through the clouds. And so as the sun turned, the mountains, of course, turned with them, which is why you get this, what looks like the sunspots moving. These ideas sound rather fantastic today, but they were widely accepted then. Most astronomers thought that other planets and even maybe the sun were similar to the Earth and had plants and animals and maybe even humanoids on them. They didn't know, but they thought it was probably pretty likely that why weren't they like our body? They didn't really imagine that they were either incredibly hot or incredibly cold. They had no reason to believe that. If you think about it, they had no science to believe that they were that much different from the Earth. So that was the source of some of these problems. This was, the time I'm discussing is the late 1700s. So what happened was that things changed dramatically in the 20th century. An astronomer, Cecilia Payne, she, as her graduate project, she was the second astronomer to get a PhD at, I'm trying to think what university, was it Cambridge? Forgetting which university now. And in 1920, she published her results of her extensive research that indicated from a lot of measurements on the sun with spectrometers that the sun was the extremely high percentage of the atoms in the visible sun were hydrogen and helium. Before that point, it was thought that the composition of the atoms on the sun was grossly similar to the Earth. And she showed that for most of the atoms this was true. But for hydrogen and helium, they had extremely high proportions on the sun. And this was, in fact, this was in 1920. It was only 100 years ago. But astronomers really did not believe this. It was very, very controversial. It took a number of years before astronomers would accept that the sun had such a high proportion of hydrogen and helium. A few years later, Arthur Eddington proposed the sun obtained, and stars in general, obtained their energy from nuclear fusion from hydrogen into helium. But it wasn't shown, the details of those equations were not known. 1938, right as World War II was starting, Hans Bethe released a paper which still thought to be the major sources of energy for our sun and other stars that are on the main line, the standard stars, not really odd ones. The two main cycles are the proton-proton cycle. This is for stars that are the mass of the sun and smaller. This is where two hydrogen atoms fuse to generate helium. And then there's the carbon-nitrogen-oxygen cycle for stars the size of the sun and larger. And this allows higher atomic weight atoms to be created from nuclear synthesis. So this is for main sequence stars more massive than the sun. So the big problem with all this isn't how the energy is created. That's pretty well known. The problem is, how does this energy get up into the sun's photosphere, which is what we can see from the Earth, and into the corona above it. The corona above the photosphere is maybe 300 times higher in temperature than the visible photosphere. So the visible photosphere is what, maybe, 5,000 degrees? It's over 1,000,000 degrees up in the corona. How in the world does all that energy get deposited up in those high areas? And how does it get from the interior of the sun up into the corona? This has been the source of much speculation, and there's been a lot of proposals, but none of them have been very convincing. So, the Parker Solar Probe comes into this. The Parker Solar Probe is in a highly elliptical orbit. So, the probe was launched 16 months ago, and its orbit goes from, I'm looking for my cheat sheet here. Hold on while I find it. It's a extremely elliptical orbit that, hold on while I find my, here we go. It goes from essentially the Earth's orbit down to rather close to the sun, well down into the corona. Along the way, there are boosts to the orbit of the probe by Venus. So the Parker Solar Probe has already made 3 close flybacks bys of the sun already. And it's achieved 2 Venus flybys. The second Venus flyby, is getting ready to make the second one. The second Venus flyby is going to be in December the 26th of this year, later this month. So, that's what happens. It goes very, very, very fast when it gets close to the sun, and on later orbits, it's going to be up as fast as nearly 200 kilometers per second. It'll be, I think, the fastest spacecraft also when it gets to that point. So, what has been learned so far? Well, on December the 4th, I believe, there were 4 papers that were released on Nature magazine about the Parker Solar Probe. One of the things they've discovered is it looks like there's plasma blobs that are released, and these plasma blobs get accelerated into producing the solar wind. It wasn't realized that these blobs were part of it. The solar wind near the Earth is reasonably constant, but it turns out that near the sun, the Parker Space Probe has found out that the solar wind is very turbulent. There's blobs of plasma, then there's weird S-shaped bends in the magnetic fields. In other words, the field goes radially away from the sun, and then it bends back and goes toward the sun, and then it bends back again and goes away from the sun. These were totally unexpected, these S-shaped bends. And it's thought that's one of the ways that a lot of particles and energy is transported into the corona. Magnetic field lines taking these S-shaped spins, and there's electrons and other energetic particles that are going along the path of these magnetic field lines. So, that is like a quick overview of the Parker Space Probe. There's some other things that have been determined by the early experiments. But the main thing that's exciting everybody is these S-shaped bends in the magnetic field, and that looks like is the explanation for, or leading to getting closer to the full explanation for how energy is deposited in the corona. That's all I got. Does anyone have any comments or questions about the sun? This is N5BB and Skynet. Go ahead. Sorry for that long dissertation. Now, any other check-ins for Skynet? This is N5BB. A5AH. I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name and location.
Yes, it's Robert and Richardson.
We got you, Robert. Any other check-ins or questions?
November 5, Delta Tango Zulu, Donna in Irving.
Another Irvingite. I'm in Irving, Donna. N5DTZ. Thank you, Donna. Do we have any other check-ins?
KI5BPZ. Stephen in Bedford, Texas. Good evening.
You may have walked away from the radio. Brenda, are you still there? WB5OZL. This is N5BB.
WB5OZL. Sorry, I was having trouble with the stream, so I was switching back and forth to other sources and didn't hear you. I apologize. This is WB5OZL. And in space exploration news, we have a new, there's a radio in operation on the far side of the moon. It's called the Change 4 mission. The fourth installment in the Chinese lunar exploration program has made some significant achievements since it launched in December of 2018. In January 2019, the mission lander and its U-2-2, Jade Rabbit 2, became the first robotic explorers to achieve a soft landing on the far side of the moon. Around the same time, it became the first mission to grow plants on the moon with mixed results. Next, I don't know how to say this, QUEQIAO relay satellite. The Netherlands-China Low-Frequency Explorer commenced operations after a year of orbiting the moon. This instrument was mounted on the, I'm going to say, QCIO communication satellite and consists of three 5-meter-long monopole antennas that are sensitive to radio frequencies in the 80 kilohertz to 80 megahertz range. With this instrument now active, Change 4 has now entered into the next phase of its mission. Next, SpaceX launches its 19th cargo resupply mission to the ISS on December 5th, or it did, from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. Upgraded science hardware for the Cold Atom Lab, built and operated by JPL, is among the cargo. upgraded science hardware for the Cold Atom lab, built and operated by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, is among the cargo on board the Dragon spacecraft. The experimental physics facility allows scientists to investigate nature at the very smallest scales and may pave the way for new quantum technologies. On December 2nd, we have the anniversary of the first Hubble repairs. That was December 2nd, 1993. As you may remember or may know, we launched this telescope up there, and the images that came back were horrible, blurry images. It just looked awful. So, following years of planning, it's because of an abnormality on the primary mirror. Following years of planning, the STS-61 mission launched on December 2nd, 1993 to perform a highly challenging and complex repair mission that would involve 5 separate spacewalks. Before the first repair EVA could take place, the Space Shuttle Endeavour's robotic arm, the Canadarm, had to grapple Hubble and berth it carefully in the shuttle's cargo bay, so the astronauts had a stable and safe place to get the job done. And after the repairs, the fuzzy and disappointing images from Hubble were replaced by stunningly sharp and beautiful images. Today, December 7th, is the anniversary of the Apollo 7 night launch. 1972, the final mission of the Apollo program launched from Pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center. They performed the program's final human moon landing at 7:54 p.m. on December 11th. The third moonwalk, the last of the Apollo program, began at 5:25 p.m. EST on December 13th. Cernan and Schmidt rode the rover northeast of the landing site, exploring the base of the North Massif and the sculptured hills. Stopping at Station 6, they examined a house-sized split boulder dubbed Tracy's Rock after Cernan's daughter. The ninth and final planned station was conducted at Van Zerk Crater. The crew collected 66 kilograms of lunar samples and took another 9 gravimeter, or maybe it's gravimeter, measurements. Before concluding the moonwalk, the crew collected a breccia rock, dedicating it to the nations of Earth, several of which were represented in Mission Control Center in Houston at the time. A plaque located on the LM commemorating the achievements made during the Apollo mission was then unveiled. Before re-entering the LM for the final time, Gene Cernan expressed his thoughts. He said, "I'm on the surface, and as I take man's last step from the surface back home for some time to come, but we believe not too long into the future, I'd like to say what I believe history will record, that America's challenge of today has forged man's destiny of tomorrow. And as we leave the moon at Taurus Littrow, we leave as we came, and God willing, as we shall return with peace and hope for all mankind. Godspeed, the crew of Apollo 17. Cernan then followed Schmidt into the LM. The final lunar exclusion had a duration of 7 hours and 15 minutes. All right, that's all I've got. This is WB5OZL. Back to net.
This is Inside BB and Skynet. Anyone have any questions about any of the items so far? Or late check-ins, please come now. Next, there's a little action on TV. It's pretty close. Ohio's looking good. The game's way down the third quarter, and it's time for Chaz at What's Up. Chaz, can you freeze the DVR and do What's Up? KF5JHA, this is Inside BB.
Good evening, everyone. I guess I'll have to tear myself away. Ohio State has not got the ball right now, so yeah, I can help out with this for a few minutes. This is why I've written a very short "Was Up" tonight. Thank you, Bill. Good evening, everyone. Yes, this is Chaz, KF5JHA. My degree is in astrophysics. I work at Brookhaven Community College, and we call this segment of Skynet "Was Up." Yes, I am a bit distracted because I am a graduate of the Ohio State University, and some little football game is going on right now. So, go Buckeyes! You do know that I said this earlier, that a Buckeye is a nut, and since I'm a Buckeye, well, that explains a lot, doesn't it? Remember that Skynet's not only available on the Dallas repeater, 146.88 megahertz, with a private line tone of 110.9, but also available to hams across the entire planet via Echolink. And most weeks, Skynet also has a video component too. You can find those links on the w5fc.org website. So, with radio, Echolink, video, I say that Skynet is in 3D. But our friend Tony, that we've heard from earlier tonight, NT5TM, says we are in 4D because we use the dimension of time. By the way, what goes on in the chat window in Echolink is probably something different than what's going on in the video and might have nothing to do with what's being talked about on the air. So to get the full 3D, or rather 4D version of Skynet, you must be monitoring all three areas at the same time. Do my continuing homework assignments I've given you over the last few weeks on Skynet. Did you try looking for Venus after sunset? I went out there tonight. Venus has been separating itself from Jupiter, getting further away over the last couple of weeks and getting closer to Saturn. This week we've had a few opportunities to look at the early evening sky in clear or partly cloudy conditions. The sun sets right around 5:20 p.m. Central Standard Time. So by around 5:35, you can start looking for Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn in the evening sky. In just a few days from now, on the night of December the 10th, Venus and Saturn will be in conjunction. In other words, they'll be right next to each other. So watch Venus move away from Jupiter further and further and get closer to Saturn over the next few days. I find the dance of the planets kind of fascinating. And once again, this is KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Morning. I volunteered at the Rockwall Christmas Parade along with other ham radio operators. Now, I saw a gingerbread man on the float. That reminds me of a question. How does the gingerbread man make his bed? Okay, you heard me right. How does the gingerbread man make his bed? Give up? With cookie sheets. Aren't you glad I'm not in net control tonight? Otherwise, I'd do a dozen of these things. A dozen cookies. I also, at 6:15 this morning, saw some summertime constellations. The constellation Boötes and the bright star Arcturus in there is located about halfway up in the eastern sky. And further south, another bright star, Spica, the brightest star in Virgo, was also visible. I noticed something lower in the sky in the southeast, the planet Mars. And Mars, in October of 2020, will be at its closest point to the Earth it has been in the last couple of years. I guess I was happy to see it, and below Mars, and almost on the horizon, was the planet Mercury in the early morning sky. If you're on that video link, you can see the pictures that I posted for Tom to put up. We're at commercial break on the TV. The moon was at its first quarter phase on December the 4th. The moon will be full on December the 11th and will be at its third quarter phase on December the 18th. The Geminid meteor shower is a major meteor shower that peaks on the night of December 13th and 14th, about a week from now, with as many as 150 meteors per hour. Unfortunately, because the moon is full on December the 13th, and so it's going to be a very strong waning gibbous. This will interfere with the observing of the Geminid meteor shower this year. There are 3 more minor meteor showers in December. The Coma Bernicids peak on the night of December 15th, 16th with a few meteors, and the December Leonis Minorids peak on the night of December 19, 20 with a few meteors. And finally, the Ursids, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, the big and little bear. The Ursids peak on the night of December 21st, 22nd with about a dozen meteors. Details about meteor showers and meteor storms can be found online at the American Meteor Society, amsmeteors.org, or going to the International Meteor Organization website, imo.net. That most Saturday nights, the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas has telescopes set up somewhere in the Metroplex almost every Saturday night. So check their website, texasastro.org, for details. So I stated earlier that the first Saturday star party's been canceled for December and January because we're possibly moving it to a new location in Richardson. Details about that new location will be forthcoming soon. But is there any ham radio operator out there observing tonight and would like to give us a report? If so, please come now with your call sign. Okay, I guess not. So, do any of you out here in Radio Land have any questions for me to fill on any information I've given you? Or do you have just a general question on astronomy? I don't know everything, but I might know the answer to your question, or I might be able to point you in the right direction. Call sign if you have a question.
5P with a question.
Mr. Mike, please, let us be enlightened by your question.
Well, I was hoping you could enlighten me. Because my question is, why are there no good restaurants on the moon? Why are there no good restaurants on the moon?
Oh, Mike, you're going to hate me for this one because I know this one. You know, the food's really good there on the moon, but it doesn't have any atmosphere.
Oh, you get a home run on that one. That's 3 in a row you've gotten on me. I'm going to have to get some better material. KG5P.
So does that mean that joke cratered out tonight? I'm sorry. Oh, so as the moon wanes during the last half of December, so do these words. Until next time, keep looking up so you know what's up. This is Jazz, KF5JHA. Back to our net control. Bill, take it away. Go Buckeyes!
The score didn't change during your presentation, Chaz. So I guess so far you haven't jinxed the game. Sorry about that. I pushed the wrong button. Turned the radio off. This is N5BB and Skynet. Any question? And do we have any late check-ins? Go ahead. Oh, Kelly. Kelly, do you want to come in on voice?
Bill, this is K5KTX Kelly in Quinlan. A little late to the party. Had another event this evening. Just got home. So it's K5KTX. Back to you.
Very good, Kelly. It's good to hear your voice. Now, it is time for Carolyn's Constellations. Mike, please do us the honors. KG5B and 5BB. You got some news about some constellations?
Okay, I do, Bill. KG5P. Not only do I have news about a constellation, I have news, but not of 5, not 10, not 20, but 21 constellations. These are not the usual kind. These are gamma ray constellations. They had been discovered by the Fermi Gamma Ray Telescope. Now, the Fermi Gamma Ray Telescope was launched in June 11, 2008, and it's been collecting data all this time. It was a combination of NASA, the U.S. Department of Energy. Also, there are groups from France, Germany, Japan, Italy, and Sweden, and they named these constellations. I wouldn't say whimsically, because there are reasons for all the constellations. Now, some of these constellations, I won't go through them all because there's 21 of them. But there are things like the Black Widow. We have the Hulk. There's the TARDIS. We have Godzilla. We have Schrodinger's cat. And Starship Enterprise, to name a few. Gamma rays are because there seems to be some dispute, at least there appeared to have been some dispute about what exactly the definition was. One thing that you always see in the physics books is they are higher energy, i.e. shorter wavelength than X-rays. And, should that be the definition? Well, that's one of the definitions. Typically, they're photons, but they're of a very short wavelength, 10 to the minus 10 of a meter, 10 to the minus 10 meters. That's a 0 and a decimal point, and 9 more zeros and then a 1. That's the wavelength of those. We're on 2 meters right now, and gamma rays start at 10 to the minus 10 meters. Okay. So that's one definition. The other definition is that the gamma rays are created by they originate from the nucleus of an atom, as opposed to the electron shell, as do X-rays. So which one is right? Well, actually, they're both right. For example, if you have a radioactive cobalt, like weight of 60, and it decays into radioactive nickel with also a atomic weight of 60, that nickel atom actually becomes energized, and it releases an electron and a neutrino and a gamma ray. Okay, that's from the decay of cobalt into nickel. Okay, and then nickel further decays into a more stable isotope and releases another gamma ray. That's one way gamma rays that can be produced. And this is one of the types of mechanisms that produce gamma rays can be detected by the Fermi telescope. Right, another way is you have a matter and an antimatter particle collide. For example, the simplest case would be an electron and an anti-electron, also called a positron. Those two collide, and you will get an instantaneous conversion into energy, which would produce 2 gamma rays. And in fact, we'll talk about this in a second here, but that's the whimsical name of the Starship Enterprise, is because we all know the Starship Enterprise uses antimatter to propel it, move it around, and all that kind of cool stuff. Okay. Well, back to the Fermi Gamma Ray Telescope. This has been surveying the sky in this highest energy form of light. This mission has cataloged more than 3,000 individual gamma ray objects, the greatest number yet found, and is comparable to the number of bright stars that used to compose the traditional constellations of the night sky. Okay. To celebrate this achievement, the Fermi team has created an unofficial set of gamma ray constellations derived from history, science, science fiction, and landmarks, honoring countries that contributed to the Fermi mission. And I won't go through all this, but if you're more interested and want to learn more about it, just Google Fermi constellations, and you'll get all kinds of information about that. The individual points of these gamma ray light and these Fermi constellations usually aren't stars. About half of them are distant galaxies powered by monster black holes. And these objects, which are called blazars, produce gamma ray jets that happen to point in our direction. Other sources include rapidly rotating neutron stars called pulsars, binary star systems containing neutron stars, and the expanding clouds of exploded stars and normal galaxies like our own Milky Way. Yet a third of these sources seen by Fermi are not recognized at any other wavelength, so astronomers aren't sure exactly what they are. An exciting possibility is that some of these unknown sources may contain new types of gamma ray emitting objects. The Fermi satellite has provided our best look at the gamma ray sky yet, but its mission continues to delve deeper into the extreme cosmos. You know, we had a spider, the Black Widow spider, which Tom had up there. This constellation is named for this critter that sometimes consumes its mate. And this represents many binary star systems in our galaxy that produce gamma rays. In some of these systems, a pair of, say if you have a normal star paired with a pulsar, in some cases the pulsar's high energy emissions are slowly destroying the companion star, just like a Black Widow. Okay? And again, this pulsar is a compact, rapidly spinning, highly magnetized neutron star, and it's the crushed core of what's left behind after a massive star explodes. Doesn't quite make it to a black hole, though. So finding a pulsar in a binary system suggests that the companion survived, I should say, the supernova explosion that formed the pulsar. But such systems may also form when a solitary pulsar is drawn in and captured by the orbit of the gravitational pull of a star. Okay, and in these Black Widow binaries, a low-mass companion star orbits so closely that it takes the pull force of the pulsar's wind. Where the wind meets the star's atmosphere, it heats and disperses the gas. Whittling away at its companion over millions to billions of years, the pulsar wind can dissolve the entire star. And Fermi has detected nearly all Black Widow binaries, and most of the members of a related type of system called redbacks, after the Australian cousin of the Black Widow. Okay, another one of these constellations, these gamma constellations, is called the amphitheater, similar to the amphitheater in Rome. I'm not going to get into all these because, like I said, we have 21 of them. There's another one called the Eiffel Tower, which symbolizes the contributions of French scientists. The ones that I particularly happen to like was Godzilla. And of course we all know that Godzilla, which is Japanese for half lizard, half turtle, Godzilla ranks as one of the most famous monster movies and is among the most recognizable objects symbols of Japanese popular culture. In the 1954 movie, of course, with Raymond Burr, these nuclear weapons tests disturbed this creature's deep ocean habitat, and he emerges from the sea to wreak havoc in Japan. Godzilla's trademark weapon is the heat ray, a fiery jet. This bears at least a passing resemblance to gamma ray jets associated with black holes and neutron stars. Okay, and when matter falls towards a black hole, vast amounts of energy are released. Gas falling towards the black hole is compressed and heated to many millions of degrees and glows brightly near the black hole. Strong magnetic fields combined with the black hole's rotation can accelerate some of these charged particles into velocities approaching the speed of light. And the particles that do make it through the black hole's event horizon can escape along the black hole's spin axis, forming a jet that rushes outward at nearly the speed of light, just like Godzilla. Okay, there's lots more to this. There's the TARDIS. We have Schrodinger's cat. And there's the Golden Gate Bridge. They talked about it was named after the contributions of California scientists, both from Stanford University and the University of California at Santa Cruz. And you might want to read about this. They're somewhat whimsical, but they all have a basis in fact of some sort. There's another Einstein that's a gamma ray Einstein constellation. So with that, I will end this discussion for now. If you want to do some more research on it, feel free. It is interesting. And as Miss Carolyn would say, take a look around. You'll enjoy it. Of course, you may not be able to see the gamma rays because we can't see gamma ray light. So back to net. This is Ben, KG5P.
Thank you very much, Mike. Do we have any questions for Mike about his X-ray constellation or gamma ray constellations or late check-ins? This is N5BB Skynet. Okay, I'm going to take net control prerogative. I'm going to delay the space launches for this week just a couple of minutes, Tom, because I'm so excited and want to make sure Brenda can get in the recent astronomical discoveries. This hidden giant planet revealed around tiny white dwarf star sounds to me like a really great story. Brenda, tell us what you got in 5BB. Oh, she wasn't ready. Brenda, I'm sorry to change the order up. Are you still there? WT9V. Hey, WT9V. You just checking in or have any comments?
Brenda and I were chatting in another forum, and she said BRB, so thought I'd throw that out to you there, Bill.
Michael. So let's go back then to Tom. Mr. General, it looks like there's a lot of interesting late 2019 space launches. Tell us about them. KE5ICX, this is N5BB, and Skynet. What's going up in space, Mike, Tom?
Well, thank you, Bill. This is KE5ICX. I did watch, December 5th, the launch of the CRS crew resupply mission 19 up to the space station, which was pretty cool. It should dock tomorrow morning sometime. But coming up this month, or in the next few days, is December 10th, we do have a Soyuz Cosmonaut M being launched from Pacific Cosmodrome in Russia. This will be a Soyuz rocket, which will launch a navigation satellite for the Soviets, or I mean Russians. The rocket will be in a Soyuz 1.5D configuration with a Fregat upper stage. This is delayed from November 16th and again on December 2nd. December 11th will be a launch from India at the Sri Harikota Satish Dhawan Space Center. India's Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, designated PSLV C-48, will launch this particular radar Earth observation satellite from the Indian Space Research Center. This booster will also launch a microsatellite, OPS-SAR, developed by IQPS. I know these are a lot of acronyms. A Japanese company, the One-Hop-Sat Technology Demonstration Earth Imaging Microsatellite, and 4 Lemur 2 CubeSats for Spire Global. Golly, there's a lot of these, a lot of microsat and CubeSats going up. The rocket will fly in the PSLV-QL configuration with 4 strap-on solid rocket boosters. This is delayed from October. Then we got December 15th. This is a SpaceX Falcon 9. Launch a JCSat-18 communication satellite with Sky Perfect JSAT Corporation of Japan and Pacific Broadband Communication Satellites of Singapore. December 16th and 17th in that time frame, and we'll be right around, let's see here, they have a launch window, a large one, so it might fall within these 2 areas. The launch site is SLC-40 Cape Canaveral. That's where the last of the CRS launched from, right across from Cape Kennedy. The rocket will launch a JCSat-18 Pacific 1 communication satellite owned jointly by Sky and Japan. Let me go to December 19th. ULA Atlas 5, this is big boy, CST-100 Starliner Orbital Flight Test. The United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket, designated AV-080, will launch Boeing's first CST-100 Starliner spacecraft on an unpiloted orbital test flight to the International Space Station. The capsule will dock with the space station, then return to Earth to landing in the western United States after an orbital shakedown cruise ahead of the 2-person crew test flight. The rocket will fly in a vehicle configuration with 2 solid rocket boosters and a dual-engine Centaur upper stage. So this is, we're getting very close to return to American spacecraft going to the space station and beyond. So the CST-100 was one of 2 that were selected. The other one is the Dragon space capsule, which is being launched by SpaceX. I don't have a date for that yet, as they had some trouble with one of their spacecraft. Back to you, Bill, KE5ICX.
Very good, Tom. Kelly, do you want to make an announcement about Texas Star Party registrations or something like that? K5KTX and 5BB trying to catch up here on the Echolink text. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you, Bill. This is K5KTX, and it's that time of the year again to start planning for the spring and the Texas Star Party, which is held annually for, I don't know, something like 40 years or plus at the Prude Ranch in Fort Davis, Texas, some of the darkest skies that we have here in Texas. The registration has now opened. The dates for the 2020 Texas Star Party are May 17th through the 24th. The 24th is the day before Memorial Day, so you might could even squeeze in an extra day there for holiday. But again, this is, if you go to texasstarparty.org, you can get all of the information. And in addition to astronomy, there's usually between 400 and 500 amateur astronomers that attend this event. We also have fantastic speakers. I mean, they're just amazing, astronauts and people that are at the top of their fields. But we also have a lot of ham radio activities that take place. They have a ham shack at the ranch, and we actually have an emergency net, practice net that we do every year. And so there's lots of ham radio activities that go on as well. So if you go to texasstarparty.org, the registration has now opened. If you want to stay on the ranch, then you need to register as soon as possible because they do a lottery for the housing. And but of course, Fort Davis Mountain State Park is just down the road, about 3 miles, and you can stay there or somewhere in Fort Davis. But it's a fantastic event. I think this will be my 14th year to go in a row, and so I'm really looking forward to it. And again, that website is texasstarparty.org. This is K5KTX. Back to you, Bill.
Very good, Kelly. Brenda, WB50ZL, are you back? Do you want to tell us about the hidden giant planet revealed around the tiny white dwarf star? N5BB, go ahead.
WB50ZL, I am back. I thought I had time for a break because I was down in the schedule. I guess y'all rearranged it, but that's okay. I'm here. This article is entitled Hidden Giant Planet Revealed Around Tiny White Dwarf Star. The first evidence of a giant planet orbiting a white dwarf star has been found in the form of a disk of gas formed from its evaporating atmosphere. The Neptune-like planet orbits a star a quarter of its size about once every 10 days, leaving a comet-like tail of gas comprised of hydrogen, oxygen, and sulfur in its wake. The discovery by astronomers from the University of Warwick's Department of Physics and the Millennium Nucleus for Planet Formation at the University of Valparaiso is published today, December 4th, in the journal Nature. It's the first evidence of a giant planet orbiting a white dwarf star, and suggests that there could be more planets around such stars waiting to be discovered. Till now, there's never been evidence of a planet that has survived a star's transition to a white dwarf. The star WDJ0914+1914 was identified in a survey of 10,000 white dwarfs observed by the Sloan Digital Sky Survey. Scientists at Warwick analyzed subtle variations in the light emitted from the system to identify the elements present around the star. They detected very minute spikes of hydrogen in the data, which was unusual in itself, but also of oxygen and sulfur, which they had never seen before. Using the Very Large Telescope of the European Southern Observatory in Chile to obtain more observations of this star, they found that the shape of the hydrogen, oxygen, and sulfur features are typical indicators of a ring of gas. Lead author, Dr. Boris Gainsicki of the University of Warwick said, "At first we thought this was a binary star with an accretion disk formed from mass flowing between two stars. However, our observations show that it is a single white dwarf with a disk around it roughly 10 times the size of our sun, made solely of hydrogen, oxygen, and sulfur. Such a system has never been seen before, and it was immediately clear to me that this was a unique star." When the astronomers averaged all the spectra that they obtained over 2 nights in Chile, it was clear that the star was accreting sulfur and oxygen from the disk. Analyzing the data, they were able to measure the composition of the disk and conclude it matches what scientists expect for the deeper layers of our own solar system, ice giants, Uranus, and Neptune. This is a long article, and we are
really just about out of time, so I think I'm going to stop there. This is from ScienceDaily.com. Back to net, WB5OZL.
Hey, Brenda. This is N5BB and Skynet. I just wanted to make sure we got that in there. What I heard about that, this little white dwarf star with this larger Neptune-sized object circling around it every few days, leading this stinky trail of stuff around it like a comet. Man, this is amazing. Wouldn't you love to get a video of that happening or a photograph? That would just be awesome. Oh, such weird stuff.
Normal stuff.
Okay, we are at the end of the net. Do we have any other net business where I don't think we're going to have time to talk about the visible satellite passages unless there's anything really exciting, Tom. Is there anything really exciting about any satellite passes, or do we have any other hot business for the net? Please come now. This is N5BB. I believe I'm going to release you 1 minute early. Let me find the closing words for Skynet. Let's see, how many people do we have? 1, 2, 3.
I'm completely operational. All my
11, 12, 13, 14, 15,
Afterglow Movie Net, 18, 19, 20, 21.
We had 22 check-ins. I want to thank everybody for participating in Skynet this evening. 22 of you, that's pretty good. We hope you'll join us here next week, every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space exploration, and no, not Ohio State. No, we're not going to discuss Ohio State. We're always looking for net control stations for this and all other DARC nets. If you'd like to try your hand at being a net control, contact any net control or send an email to nets, that's N-E-T-S, at w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussion about this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and Twitter if you like those social media platforms, as well as our audio and visual video streams, video archives, other useful internet resources by going to w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. Until next Saturday night, this is N5BB. I'll be closing a net at 10:31 p.m. local time, returning the repeater to normal amateur use. 783 is everybody, and in a few minutes, the Afterglow net will start on this frequency. This is N5BB clear.
And we'll be back in 5 minutes for War of the Satellites from 1958. So be ready. There will be a test. KE5I6.
Sure, Jazz is now doing his little Buckeyes dance because they pulled it through there at the end. I'm sure pretty exciting for them. N5BB.
There's 3 minutes left in the game. This is KF5 JHA. Go Buckeyes!
Yes, I have no trouble with the Buckeyes going somewhere. I'm not sure where you'd like them to go, though. N5BB. See you later.
To the national championship game, of course.
This is Whiskey Bravo 5 Oscar Zulu Lima. We're about to commence with the Afterglow Movie Net. Does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin the net? Please come now.
I have my own net instead. No.
Of course you cannot. You will come to my net and you will like it.
I'd rather talk about an airplane.
You never talk about airplanes.
Not airplanes, airplane, the movie.
Well, we didn't watch it yet.
We've all watched it. Come on, Brenda.
You're going to have to take that up with our fearless leader. All right, tonight's movie is War of the Satellites, 1958 Roger Corman movie. I'm sure it's his masterpiece. None of the others could have possibly been this good. He made a lot of these. Okay, do we want to do a synopsis? Tom, do you want to do that, or you want me to do it? KE5ICX.
Brenda, if you don't mind, would you do it this evening? I'm about lost my voice. KE5ICX.
Be my pleasure. The alien intergalactic space cruiser placed the wheel-lock on Earth's Sigma Project's latest manned space satellite. It was getting annoying, and Mr. Hotchkiss made a rousing speech demanding the masters of the Spiral Nebula Ghana stop booting all of the world's spacecraft. In defiance, the UN launches another Sigma rocket ship. This one with a sign on board. Danger. Direct contact with this spacecraft may cause male pattern baldness. This was a brilliant plan, but the UN assembly wasn't even sure the aliens had heads, let alone hair they might lose. It was a shot they had to take. So, War of the Satellites, 1958. All right, let's do some check-ins. Let's take short time and low power first. You know the drill. Call sign, name, location. Go ahead.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony, low power and short time, portable in Dallas. I did not see the movie and I'll just be listening, although I did see Airplane recently, NT5 PM.
Okay, NT5 TM, Tony, not see the movie. Anyone else? Okay, we'll go for general check-ins. Please come down.
November 5, Bravo, Bravo, Dylan Irving. I did see the movie, and I also have seen the Airplane.
P. Go 5 Papa, Mike and Richardson. I did see the movie.
Kilo, Foxtrot 5, Tango, Sierra Kilo, Pearl in Dallas. I saw something. I'm not sure. I didn't see the one that Tom saw. Tom saw the one in color, and mine was in black and white, so I'm disappointed. K5TSK back to net.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey, J. Near Wilford. I've seen it.
He is Kate Burrow, who did. Next check-in. Please come down.
checked in, but you and he doubled, and he said he saw it.
Okay, KG5BZWJ, who did see the movie. WT9V, are you checked in, or are you just lurking?
I'm waiting for Tom to check in so I can go after he does.
Roger. Tom, are you checking in?
Oh, I thought I had, but yeah, put me in, KE5ICX, Tom. I saw the movie, and I probably forgotten everything, but I did see it, KE5ICX.
Okay, KE5ICX, who did see the movie. My mind is blank. Echo Link check-ins. Okay, Strangler check-ins.
Okay, I'll check in now. I saw something, but like Tom, my mind is blank too. No, wait, that's you. See how blank my mind is? I blame this movie. So, yeah. Yeah, okay. So I sort of, yeah. Put me down as I saw it, but I don't remember it.
Look, we've been damaged by much worse movies than this. This is not that bad. Okay, anybody else?
I've Echo Bravo Bravo, David in Dallas. Do I get the final bid? W5EBB.
Only if you saw the movie.
Ah, yes, I did see it.
Hey, W5EBB David, I bet you liked this movie.
Ah, we shall see. W5EBB.
Okay, anybody else?
Kilo Golf 5, Zombies Need Jobs. I did see the movie. Frank Farmer. Back to you.
KG5's Zombies Need Jobs. We'll have to watch a zombie movie sometime. Frank, welcome to the net. Anyone else? Okay, let's jump into this cold water here. N5BB Bill, he saw the movie, and we're going to talk about the plot first. So please do go ahead.
This is N5BB. The plot. Actually, the general idea of the plot was okay. It was the aliens trying to keep the Earthlings from venturing out into the universe. And so that plot idea, I think, was an okay idea. The way the plot progressed, I think was largely made some sense. It wasn't totally senseless. I was not happy with the very, very end when somehow something they did caused them to break through the aliens' blockade. And I did not understand that very, very last part of the movie, the very end. It just kind of, to me, it's like they couldn't figure out how to tie it up very well, and it was, to me, very poorly written. The very, very last couple of scenes. Plot. As normal, it's got the one female scientific kind of person that gets on the spacecraft with all the men, and as commonly happens, she is injured and falls down, and somebody has to pick her up and carry her back. So that's another common, rather sexist kind of plot line. Some other station was transmitting, I think. This is N5BB. And all in all, though, I was moderately okay with the plot. It wasn't too bad, made some sense, and not really all that bad for a late 50s sci-fi movie. N5BB.
Okay, KG5P, Mike, plot.
All right, thank you, Brandon. Yeah, I've been up since, I don't know, dark 30 this morning because we did the Richardson Christmas parade. Anyway, I sort of like this movie, and here's why. I mean, it was cheesy, of course, but it was typical of the movies made in the 50s, and I like those kind of movies. You know, one of the things is, yeah, it was stupid scientifically, but some of the other, compared to some of the movies that we've seen recently, it was almost like the other movies, the writers thought their audience would be so stupid they could do anything they wanted. Pretty much. But in this movie, it was kind of a naive. They didn't think their audience was stupid, or at least they didn't think their audience was any dumber than they were. And so scientifically, it was full of holes, but that's okay because it was a kind of an innocent, naive situation. And now let's just see how we can pull over on our stupid audience. Okay. Bill had mentioned about, yeah, Earth is going into space, and they got these space aliens that think we're going to really screw things up, and they want to stop us from doing it. Well, that's, you know, remember the Day the Earth Stood Still, which was made about 1953. Michael Rennie and Patricia Neal was kind of that theme. So it was sort of a rework of that plot. You know, and maybe the space aliens are right. Maybe we shouldn't be in space. I don't know. We haven't figured out how to we got here on Earth. Excuse me, just had to sneeze here. Yeah, I noticed that the female scientist type, she didn't serve any chicken sandwiches and she didn't pour any coffee, but she did just about everything else. I don't know if I'm going to stick around for the next round, but I did like some of the characters, so I'm just going to mention some of the actors. We had Susan Cabot, and she's been in a bunch of stuff, the sci-fi movies at that time, so she was the girl scientist. And also, the Dave Boyer character was a guy named Dick Miller. Now, if you've ever seen the John Goodwin movie, is Goodwin or Goodman? Anyway, John Goodman, which was excellent movie. We should really do that movie if we can get it, because that's one of the great all-time sci-fi spoofs. It has a movie within a movie as well. But Dick Miller, who played Dave Boyer in this movie, he was in Matinee. He was Herb Denning, who was kind of a guy that Goodwin hired. The character that Goodwin played hired to show all kinds of indignation because of the movie that he was going to try to show on his movie, on his theater. And so Herb Denning was played an outraged citizen, but he was really working for Goodman. And it was some really great acting, great role. You know, definitely should see that. The other character that I didn't really care too much for was Richard Devon, who played Dr. Van Ponder, and he was really stiff. He played a role that just where he never smiled, and you could tell he was going to grow a heart. The way that the humans would think he was human, because he was really a space alien masquerading as a human. Didn't have a heart, so he grew himself a heart, except it was either on the wrong side or it was in the center or something like that. He didn't know exactly where his heart should be placed. But I think that's about all I had. I think I'm gonna call it quits tonight. But I did enjoy this movie. What can you say about Roger Corman? The other thing I was going to mention, it was one of the writers was Irving Bloch, and if you remember, that's leading into Forbidden Planet. Irving Bloch and some guy named Adler, I guess. Irving Bloch was one of the writers, and he also did the special effects for, which was also done about that time, but you could tell he had a much higher budget. So I'm going to stop with that, and I'll kick it back to Ned. This is KG5P. And I did like the movie, and I want more like this. KG5P.
Mike, well, thanks, and good night. And we'll move on. Bill, KF5TSK. You saw the movie. Tell us about the plot.
That's KF5TSK. Well, the thing that most disappointing to me was the end of it. You know, you break through the barrier. What were we going to do? We were going to go to some unknown planets and trade furs and gold and maybe get electronics or scientific items from them. You know, if I was watching the 50s, I might have been impressed by it, but the only thing that really impressed me was those reclining chairs. I'd really like to have one of those. KF5TSK back to net.
You can order them on the internet, but they are expensive. All right, KG5BZWJ, go ahead.
This is KG5BZW. Yeah, the plot. The plot was kind of. I think I agree with Bill. It had some good ideas, but it just wasn't really executed good. The actually kind of got me interested in going to TV tropes and trying to figure out where the becoming human aspect, how, because that's such a trope that's been used so many times. They become human and something, their plans change or whatever, and I don't know. I'm almost kind of wondering what's the first sci-fi story to do that. Probably not this. Kind of weirdly executed too. I mean, I already said it was bad execution. Just I don't know. I like the mall or double agent or whatever aspect of oh shoot, I don't have his name in front of me. I'm on my phone, can't switch. I'm not at my computer. Anyway, random. But it's like they I don't. It just didn't seem to have that even of a flow. It's like something would happen, and then nothing, and then all of a sudden we've just been fast forwarded to, oh, the ship's already been built and we're about to launch, and like, wait, what? and they just, I mean, a little bit of what would you call it? Just a world changing by the others would be expected, but it just didn't make sense a lot of times. There was another thing that was really just kind of all of a sudden confusing and strange, and I can't even remember it. I don't know. It's largely forgettable. The plot twists. I don't know if that actor was photogenic enough to do the mirror thing. Even, I mean, you have to be very. People tend to notice stuff like. There's not even there's so-called beautiful people that can't really even, if you did the mirror thing to them, they just look weird. So I don't know. It was a cool idea, which was kind of not really, I don't know, done well. And a lot of stuff it just got thrown in, and I don't know what else to say. I did, like guy said, I like the double agent. I was trying to figure out what he was going to do to move the project along without the humans discovering. And of course, there's fun to be had there in terms of developing the story. They just didn't really do that much of it. Just kind of. Not that the movie was. I think the movie was probably. I don't know, for what they wanted to do. The movie needed to be longer, but for the type of movie that it was the right length. I'm just rambling on. I don't know. Certainly not the worst we've seen. I agree. But largely just forgettable. KG5B2W, back to that.
Okay, thank you, Jay. KE5ICX Tom, it's your turn.
If only I could remember anything from this movie. I don't remember a lot from this movie, but I'm sure it was interesting. There was a lot of talking and people interacting with one another and going from one airlock to another airlock and doing things in black and white. So, yeah, I'm sure it was good, and yeah, there was a plot, except at the end when there wasn't. So the only thing I can really say is that this always happens to a writer when you set up a fictional storyline, and it happens in books and everything else. You can set up a good idea, but then you've got to figure out how to execute and end it, or execute the person who wrote it. In either case, this one kind of lost steam and they didn't know what to do. So I don't have a lot tonight. I'm sorry. I've been kind of under the weather the last few days, so I don't remember a lot of what I watched last night. Back to net control, KE5ICX.
WT9V, Michael, give us your wisdom.
You're funny. This is WT9V, and no, Tom, it wasn't interesting. Okay, the synopsis of Airplane, in short, is lol. All right, Brenda won't let me talk about something interesting. Okay, well, I think that this will explain this thing. Quote, wanting to cash in on the launching of Russia's Sputnik satellite, director Roger Corman hastily made this Earthlings vs. Evil Aliens space opera. And if I may digress a little, the word opus is Latin for work, and opera is the plural of opus. So an opera is a collection of works, and I don't really think applying the term opera to this trek is appropriate. Part of that, possibly most of it, can be explained by the fact that it was reportedly only 8 weeks from the day that it was conceived till it was contaminating theaters. I did see on the net that the control panel, with many toggle switches, used by the ground controller in the spacecraft flight crew, is actually the automatic pilot from a World War II B-17 bomber. And pretty much the only thing I have beyond that to say at this point is at least the stars didn't twinkle in outer space in this particular flick. And then there was that scene in the car. Okay, I've got more to say. I'm about as blank as Tom was when he said he was, and actually apparently is. So I was going to try and skim through this thing again this afternoon to see if I could come up with something meaningful or interesting to say, but I couldn't force myself to do it. Oh, Burl, by the way, those chairs are called contour chair lounges. You can find them on eBay, sometimes on Craigslist. And when I was a kid, one of my mother's friends had one of the double wide ones because they came in single wide and double wide for cuddling. The later ones, including the one I got to play with, had heat, power recline, and vibration. And I remember playing with it, going up and down, up and down, up and down. It was a lot of fun, really comfortable. I always wanted one. Maybe someday I'll get one. This is WT9V, tossing this hot potato back to Brenda.
Okay. W5EBB, David, go ahead.
So War of the Satellites. So when did one satellite shoot at another satellite? There were no satellites at war, right? So it wasn't really titled well, but I guess for marketing, it's meant to draw in the crowds. And I believe from Wikipedia it said this was like a double feature with Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. So, yeah, hey, it's a mixed bag. Well, but the same reasoning Star Wars wasn't really aptly titled either. But I guess it sounded better than Spaceship versus some kind of nebulous space barrier. So I give them a pass on that. War of the Satellites, all right. So the scientists were actually smart to question the authenticity of the message of warning from the aliens and whether the entire thing was a hoax. I mean, after all, it was discovered by a couple of overly amorous 25-year-old high school students. And I guess one thing important to learn from that is if you're going to investigate a crashed silver-painted model rocket with Latin writing on it, make it snappy because you're double parked. Now, the aliens obviously hadn't thoroughly researched human psychology. By issuing their written warning and reinforcing it with various earthly cataclysms, they only increased the resolve of the UN and the general population and their resolve to try to breach the space barrier. They should have used some kind of reverse psychology or some kind of payoff that would have been actually effective. Maybe share some advanced technology in exchange for, a promise that we'd stop trying to penetrate the barrier and explore space. So really didn't do their homework. Aliens did employ a dastardly tactic of sabotage in the last mission by planting that replicant of the captain, which is something straight out of the playbook of The Art of War for Cowards, which is you maintain a significant advantage over your enemy so long as he believes you to be his friend or ally. Though in this case it was a little bit of a twist akin to Invasion of the Body Snatcher, and that's in the Mimicry chapter of that book. Now, in one scene, they had the president of the UN with all those flags set out in front of him, and I did try to count them, and plus or minus 2, there were about 82 of them. And that was actually accurate. In 1957-58, there were 82 members in the UN, and a little bit of trivia. The UN has 193 members today, so I don't know if they could have shot that scene. They would have required a 16:9 format, at least. W5 EBB.
Alrighty, KG5ZNJ. Frank.
This is KG5ZNJ. Well, using my rudimentary reflex-like intelligence, I would describe the plot as loathsome and pedestrian. Well, I'm kind of kidding. This is one of those drive-in filler movies, I think, that is the third one in a triple feature, in the 50s. So, it's just filler movie. So, the plot was basically aliens preventing humans from going into space for no good reason, really. And I kind of thought that part of that going through the wall stuff was kind of a parallel with Chuck Yeager going through the sound barrier. Back before he did that, there was this belief that there was some unseen barrier and that anybody who tried to go through it would, hit the wall and break up. So I think it was like the race to, going to the speed of light was supposed to be the plot, but it wasn't very clear. Then we had the alien there who killed, presumably, and then took over the identity of Dr. Van Ponder, which I thought was great. That Van Ponder, like he's smart, he's pondering. Why not just call him Dr. Van Smarty Pants? So it was kind of a silly thing, and that he's some kind of like carbon mirror clone, and he can split himself in half and multitask, but he had the weakness of falling in love with the young woman on the satellite, not the spaceship, the satellite. And that was a little bit of his downfall, but not really. The funeral part made me laugh when they put the body in space. It looked like that body weighed about 2 pounds, so it was some kind of effigy, probably stuffed with newspapers, and it really looked it. So that made me laugh. And the newspapers made me laugh too, because if you looked at them not even that close, you could see it was a real newspaper, but they just had a printout of the headline and they just kind of dropped it on top of it, and it wasn't even, well placed. It was just done really quick, so that was pretty funny too. So, well, without going much longer, I have an appointment with some components, and don't call me Shirley. KG5ZNJ.
Alrighty, well, I guess it's my turn. The big problem I had with the plot was the end. It's like, well, if we just get through this barrier, we'll win. And never thinking these spacefaring aliens that could fly them from space before wouldn't do something else, even worse, or just, kill the planet. If it were me, I would have said, let's just hold off a bit before we send more people out to die, or let's then send some unmanned probes. The idea of just launching up spaceships for certain death doesn't seem, particularly smart to me. Yeah, the one girl, she had a slide rule at one point. I'm not sure she knew how to use it, but she did have it in her hand. But she also typed letters, so wasn't sure whether she was a secretary or a scientist. But she never served coffee,
And so we don't know. We just don't know what she was. Roger Corman brought this movie in 8 weeks. Maybe that's a record for him. Probably not. It seems to have kind of been the yardstick back then. Is how fast can we make a movie? Not how good we can make it, or is it watchable, or people don't like it. Just how fast can we do it, and how cheap can we do it? And so as a result, we have an entire, just bunches and bunches of films that are just like this. Cheap, crudely made, stupid, but brought in under 8 weeks. There's nothing wrong with the plot. They sent these astronauts that were not even trained to go into space. How many movies have we seen where they do that? You know, somebody gets sick, let's just stick you in there. Whereas in real life, astronauts can perform an appendectomy or remove a tooth and operate every position on the spacecraft before they go up. And they're also smart, and they have a good sense of humor, and they have a lot of personality. And you just don't ever see that kind of person as an astronaut in movies, and I'd like to know why. Okay, I rambled on a bit too much. Do we have anyone check in? Alrighty, we're going to start back up at the top and talk about characterization. N5BB Bill, go ahead.
This is N5BB. You think about this. Well, you only get to see one alien who takes the form of the doctor who's come in charge of the project. So we don't really get to see the aliens characterized, except as you see message that they're trying to present in Latin, of all things, that they're trying to prevent us from leaving the Earth, and then you see, what they did with the doctor taking control over him. So the doctor, I agree, was a cold fish. He was kind of all through the movie, he was kind of stiff and didn't smile. Of course, it's possible he was purposely trying to play it that way, but I still think he came off as very much a cold character. I didn't see how his assistant there could think she could love him because he was so cold. And then when he became controlled by the alien force, he became even colder. And did you notice that near the end, when there was one last cloning of that character, that the clone kind of had weird makeup on or something, kind of had a weird look in his eyes. Did not understand this cloning procedure. You would have thought they would have figured out that there were two of them, and then later three of them. But for some reason, the stupid humans didn't figure that out. That was weird. The one woman with any significant part in the movie was pretty thin. There really wasn't any characterization of her. She had a few lines. She ran around and did what she was supposed to do, but you didn't get any kind of understanding for her, you know. Did she have a life independent of, did any of it have a life independent of the story? Who knows? You don't learn anything about them. The only thing you see that's away from the Space Center is that doctor driving his car, which then crashes. That's the only thing you see that's, like I say, it was a cheap movie made pretty quickly. So characterization's pretty thin. There were a couple of other characters that were characterized as one of the ones piloting the spacecraft, which is trying to follow orders. And he said something like, it's kind of like Into the Valley of Death, we ride. No, he didn't say that. He said something about, he made some joke about following orders. So he was just the order-taking kind. There was another one or two characters that seemed to want to fix the problem and get rid of the bad doctor. So they were the sympathetic characters. So there's a little bit of characterization there, but not much. So again, I would rate the characterization as thin by BB.
Okay, KF5TSK Burl, go ahead.
TSK. I didn't realize I was so far up in the rotation. Well, I would say that the doctor, except for his expressions, there was nothing really, to really see in the whole movie. In fact, it seemed like a lot of the scenes made me think more of a submarine than a spaceship. It's we'll just open up the door and throw the corpse out. And the worst thing about space is things don't go away. Things don't deteriorate because there's no bacteria. So what you put in space, if it doesn't fall down to Earth, it's going to be there. So it's a place that you really don't want to pollute. Well, like I say, other than him, there was nothing, really exciting. I think at the time, one of the things in the movie that bothered me was all of the rockets had fans, and I kept admiring that. It's like, well, are they fans or are they trying to put wings on the rockets? The thing that seemed out of place was the telephones that I think on the doctor's desk he had 4 phones and no TV, just radio. So but even on the space station they had wireless communication but no TV. KF5 TSK back to net.
Okay, KG5BZWJ.
This is KG5BZW. Yeah. I'm gonna an opera. Just in a way, the way the story, the plot. I'm going back to plot because I need to go to plot to even attempt to attract characters. It was like it felt they weren't completely disjointed. did relate, but it just seemed a little bit too sub-arcs kind of sewn together real, I don't know. I don't want to call it the Frankenstein or anything like that, because there's a lot worse. But in a way, again, I'm going back to the flow. I don't know. I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought there. Let's see, the characters, we didn't really see much in terms of, we did see a little in terms of character development as they discovered they finally, I don't know, it didn't really make sense when they, as late as they did discover. So there's a lot of stuff that doesn't really make much sense, but, sci-fi and all. I tend to be a little bit forgiving. Oh, gee whiz. Actually, what I wanted to say before the next go-around was, how about those ships? Those ships that 3 rockets come off, and then they just stop in place and then merge or something into this super spaceship thing. They didn't even really explain that one too well, but I thought it was kind of, if they could have actually used some real physics and something that actually made sense instead of just kind of stopping on a dime and whatever, merging whatever. I thought the ship was kind of cool if you ignore all that business. As cool as it could be so much better. Who am I kidding? I don't know. I feel like this is something this whole net's going to last longer than the movie, isn't it? You could go into a lot of detail about how much something didn't make sense in this film, and still have a lot left to cover. And I didn't really talk too much about characters, but whatever. I guess I just had my say. KG5BCW.
All right, next up, KE5ICX. Are you there, Tom?
Oh, barely. What are we talking about? Oh, characterization. Yeah, it was great. Everybody was in black and white. The characters were in black and white. I don't remember anything. I really don't. Back to you, KE5ICX.
Oh, I'm sorry. You just missed a wonderful movie. You should watch it again when you feel better. WT9V, what did you think of the characters?
This message is for KE5ICX. Don't listen to Brenda. She lies. As far as characters, I got nothing. Because they were all... honestly, I spent my time making snide comments about it, and I don't really remember anything worthwhile and worth talking about. I thought... didn't care. Just really didn't care. And remember, Tom, Brenda lies. WT9V.
Such a critic. W5EDD, David, characters.
Well, I also don't have a lot to say about the characters, except that for a Roger Corman movie, the actors and the acting were rather good, with the exception of those overaged high schoolers. But I mean, there were a couple of recognizable actors in this movie, and a couple that weren't, but they all played the roles well, I thought, in character, and moved the plot along and made it a decent movie. W5EBB.
Okay, KG5, zombies need jobs. Frank.
KG5ZNJ. Well, I don't know. They were pretty boring and generic characters, really. Can't say too much about them. I liked the two high school kids, though. Hey, Mitch, get a load of this. It's kind of funny in a way. I mean, maybe the rest of it was so not that good, so maybe that just stood out. I found that was funny, and I found that they had a lot of funny names just put in there hidden because they said them pretty quick. Like the foreign minister for Russia was Foreign Minister Slurnov. I thought that was pretty funny, actually. Vodka drinking Russian guy, I guess. Other than that, I mean, it was a pretty bland movie. So I don't got much to works with. KG5ZNJ, back to you.
Thank you. Well, I found the characters to be pretty cardboard in my opinion. I was having a hard time telling them apart, although I did notice one was a girl. I could tell her apart. But she didn't have much personality. Kind of a simpering, silly thing, if you ask me. And I'm not sure what she was doing there. They never explained that. It's just sort of required to have an attractive woman on every spaceship for some reason. Now, this kind of goes into plot as well as characters. I have a problem with the fact that the aliens had the capability to overtake a body and imitate it convincingly and replicate it and get away with it for quite a while. Why did they only do just one of those? Why didn't they send in of aliens down to Earth and take over lots of bodies, and then they could have wreaked all kinds of havoc on the Earth? They could have substituted for the president or the generals or anybody, and they pretty much could have won the war without a shot. But they didn't. Yeah, I'm sure they were all fine actors in their day. I don't really recognize any of them, but, that was a long time ago. All right. Do we have any more check-ins? This is Steady B50ZL. Okay, let's move on. N5BB, what do you have to say about special effects, Bill?
Okay, Brenda, this is N5BB. Well, let's see. They wasted a lot of time early in the movie with the minimal special effect of the actors clawing on the ground, trying not to get sucked away. Let's see, am I mixing things up? I think I'm mixing up two movies because I was looking at something else on TV. So let me ignore that. What I was getting ready to talk about. What I meant to be saying, let me reset myself here. Resetting my brain. The special effect that started the movie with the bright light that was the, nope, that's the other movie. Hang on. I keep mixing up two things because I was watching the Svengoolie thing,
and right before I watched this movie, so that kind of confused me. The special effects were them going up and trying to run into the barrier, and which was kind of minimal. They ran up there and exploded. And their spacecraft all look like early Sputnik-like things. Even the manned spacecraft looked like an unmanned Sputnik thing. The animation kind of thing of the three spacecraft kind of getting together and releasing some pieces that went together looked real hokey. I looked at that and I thought, I don't understand how those three rockets released, they were, number one, way too big, and they released those three pieces that went together and joined to make the globular, spherical spacecraft, which they called a satellite, which was stupid. So I didn't understand any of that. So I don't think that special effect was very good. I mean, they tried. It was super cheap, though. The special effect of the doctor, scientist splitting in two people, to tell you the truth, it was very simple. It was done pretty well, you know. It really did look like he split the two people. So I can't really complain about that one. The only other special effect maybe was, well, no, that was about it. By the way, at the end of the movie, they acted like they had broken through the Andromeda and they were going at light speed. Where did that come from? Sure looked like chemical rockets to me. Inside BB.
Yes, they suddenly invented faster than light travel. So otherwise, it would take them years to get there. We all know that. Okay, going down the list, we have KF5TSK. Well.
TSK. Well, it seemed like everything seemed to be just out of place. There's no video. It's probably the only scientific picture that we look at that no one talks to the computer or the computer tells them something. I mean, it's all mechanical, and they were showing the blast off, and it was like, you know, they had a countdown for the booster rockets, and it's like there were 3 booster rockets. I was like, wow, what a rocket. I suppose, you know, nothing was really special. It seemed to be they had too much. It was, you know, oh, look at this antenna on this satellite, you know, that seemed like they just overdid it. You know, they had the wireless mics around their neck, which was more of a fighter pilot type thing, but no wires. K5TSK back to net.
Okay, KG5DZWJ.
This is KG5VZW. Well, there's a few more things to discuss. I thought the car wreck was actually well done. Kind of curious how they did that. Not that it's terribly hard to do something like that. Just get a real car and sensor way to have it get off the cliff and everything. But still, you know, had to be set up and done. They did a good job on that. But the split in two actually seemed a decent special effect, yeah. But the other bits, it was clearly he's like, okay, we're going to pretend this room's I don't even know what that cabin, that area was, or that they were supposed to sit down and be accelerated or whatever. And I don't know. It just all this talk of it being done in 8 weeks. Well, it's pretty clear. Some of that is pretty clear, and the spaceship design. Although I'm kind of curious where they got the rockets. They looked a little bit like some Soviet. Now I'm trying to figure out some. There were some Soviet designs that kind of seemed familiar to. Maybe they did get off of what's the word? Just jump off of that idea. There's I don't know. I can't really think of anything else to discuss. It's clearly kind of done on the cheap, so they have a few things, but not much else to say. KG5 BGW.
All right, KE5ICX, do you want to talk again?
Yeah, the spaceships were great. I liked the little thing with the lights and everything. It looked great. And there was acting that went along with it. So that's it for me, KE5ICX.
Okay, WT9V, Michael.
I have a little bit to complain about. Like, my first thought was that if there actually were men in those frantically spinning satellite things, they wouldn't have to wait to be killed by the barrier. They'd die from dizziness or being splattered against the outside walls or something. They wouldn't have made it very great. And I did love the way, as Jay mentioned, that those rockets had really great brakes, stopping on a dime out in space. That doesn't happen too often. And, like Bill mentioned, the last two lines, Andromeda, light speed, there'll be 2.537 million light years, or years at light speed. So, yeah, it's going to take a while. So, I don't know, it was like, it was kind of bad, and it was kind of bad, and then the last lines, and it was really bad. And that's about all I got, that has already been covered by other people far more eloquent than myself. WT9V.
Okay, W5EBB, David.
Special effects were pretty good for a low-budget Roger Corman movie. I continue to offer these semi-accolades in the unlikely event that 93-year-old Mr. Corman is listening in right now. Incidentally, that spaceship design, I've seen the design for the Nazi blueprints of those kinds of spaceships, and it's only the outside that's spinning. They're actually stationary on the inside, where the people are actually standing up in the control room. Yeah, you might want to check that out. The mysterious space barrier, which might have been one of the denser layers of the Van Allen belt, was pretty well done, all shiny, shimmery, and sparkly. There was parallax in the star scenes, as there were some suspended space balls in front of the cardboard punch-out starry background as the camera panned by. The title designs with the 2D geometric figures at the beginning were pretty good. Something like Lost in Space or From Russia with Love. The 2D geometric figures corresponded to the 3D models seen later in the movie. I do agree that the merging satellite sequence defied all physics in the known universe, but given the limited budget, the special effects were all right. W5 EBB.
Yeah, well, Hollywood is in the unknown universe, so they have different laws there. KG5ZNJ, go ahead.
Yes, KG5ZNJ. Well, as a layman, it looked to me like somebody was wearing little black velvet gloves and was holding little spaceships that were made out of toilet paper tubes and just kind of manipulating them on a black background. That's what it looked like to me. The mission controller or whatever, all the computers had in the back, you could tell they were just cardboard. Somebody just made them, somebody who's got some Elmer's glue and is a little bit handy. And, I don't know. That spinning satellite comment, that's kind of cool. So like a merry-go-round at a state fair where, the horses are going around in a circle like a donut, and in the center you have the really seedy-looking carny guy, and he's sitting on the island that doesn't spin, so maybe that's what it was, a guy with a cigar there in the middle of the satellite. But I don't know, it was on par with, it reminded me of that cartoon Space Ghost, the scenes in the backdrops of space and stuff, so yeah, it was, it was the 50s, what can you say, right? KG5ZNJ, back to you.
Okay, special effects. Cheesy. Lots of fakey stuff. I really liked all the hardware inside the spaceship. Just trying to identify what that stuff was. I don't know. Random dials, random switches, random buttons. I guess they threw the jump box at the wall and see what stuck. I like the lounge chairs. Other than that, special effects, well, the spaceship special effects or the outer space scenes weren't really worse than most everything else that was done in that day and age. So we can't complain too much. They probably did pretty well with what they did, with what they had. All right, any other check-ins? All right, K5ICX, if you want to tell us what next week's movie is, you could go ahead and go to bed.
Yes, I think I can do that. The next film is called The Alpha Incident from 1978. It's about an alien invasion from Mars. I think it was on the Hallmark Channel or something like it. You'll love it. Next week. Bye-bye. This is KE5ICX.
Take care, Tom. I hope you get some rest tonight. All right, we've reached the end of the road here, but not quite. Anybody else want to say anything about this movie? Please come now with your call sign and your name.
WTIV, and I bet you can guess who this is.
BB, Bill.
Okay, WT9V, Michael, what would you like to mention?
It's not actually anything about the movie per se, but it's a reaction to your comment about, back in 1957, 58, blah, blah, whatever thing, special effects weren't all that good and everything. And I would like to take mild exception to that because not too long ago we watched Destination Moon, which I believe was done in 1950. And so 8 years ahead of this, 8 years before this, and the special effects were so much better that, while it was the 50s, I don't think it's much of an excuse. Just my thought. WT9V.
Okay, I'll put the gloves on. I think the effects in Destination Moon were awful. I enjoyed the movie, but I didn't think their special effects were much to brag about. And I'm hard-pressed to think of any other movie in the 50s that had really good special effects. Now, 60s, yeah, it advanced pretty quickly by the late 60s, but Destination Moon had a cheesy-looking moonscape and that torpedo of a spaceship. Well, I guess it's all a matter of opinion. All right, N5BB, what do you have to offer?
Brenda, this is N5BB. Well, I noticed that in the incredibly massive spacecraft, massive on the outside and really large on the inside. I mean, there was no furniture in the rooms. They were just massive. All they had was these reclining couches and nothing else, and they were humongous. I can't imagine building a spacecraft like that. But when they were going to go into space, they got the warning, you got 5 minutes. And they raced into the spacecraft, ran to the door, got the belt buckled about 10 seconds before they took off. I don't know. Not very believable in BB.
Yeah, that part was pretty weak. Okay, anybody else have anything they want to say? All right, then we will close up the net. Thanks everybody for coming and participating, and we will see you next week. This is WB5OZL Clear.